going on, everybody? It's your boy Adam. I can't believe I get on YouTube looking at the world, looking the way I do right now. It's crazy. But I just don't care. I just don't care. I checked my pockets, I checked under the bed, I looked in the drawers. I got no fucks to give. So, it's Mother's Day. The only reason I know that, well, I work at a bakery, so all those holidays we know. Um, oh, let's see. I was talking about in the last video, I basically went through the entire day, but there was so much. It was such a weird day. There was a lot of tangents and a lot of stories to talk about in relation to getting into a bike race with a guy on a tricycle and how I wasn't going to get beat. I was not going to let no motherfucker on a tricycle beat me. I couldn't do it. I was like, I will literally I will push myself to my heart exploding and passing out and dropping dead on the bike trail before I let a guy on a tricycle beat me to the end of the bike trail. I couldn't do it. I wanted to just relax and go at a relaxed pace. But when you get passed by a guy on a fucking tricycle, no, it's not going to happen. A guy on a $20,000 road racing bike passing me, different story. And funny is, that story went in the afternoon when I got passed by that guy. Um, Ironically, when I pulled up my Strava details of my ride, that segment where that guy on the $20,000 road racing bike passed me, I got a personal best time on that stretch because I was trying to match his pace and keep up with him. And Strava said that's the fastest time you've ever had on that stretch of road. So maybe I just need to find some yuppie douchebag in a Lance Armstrong outfit to get in front of me, or a guy on a tricycle, and that'll get me in shape a lot faster than going out on a bike ride by myself. Aside from that, all the little stories about what happened during the day, I forgot one. I forgot the funniest one, and it has to do with Mother's Day. And so, I work with mostly women at the bakery. Imagine that. Um, but guys can be a baker too. Look at the chocolate guy. I forget his name is Amory or something like that. He's got a show on Netflix. He's got videos. I mean, dude's videos go viral. The dude, you can basically say make something out of chocolate and anything out of chocolate, and this dude will make it. And it'll look like whatever it is that you told him to make, you would think it's real, but it's all made out of chocolate. This dude's nuts. And yeah, I mean, if you got $20,000 to spend on a chocolate statue, knock yourself out. He's the guy to go see. But guys can do this stuff too. And but anyway, I'm fascinated by that guy. The stuff that he makes is out of this world. Um, I don't think I would want to do that for a living. I don't like work. I mean, I don't hate my job, but I don't want to work in a kitchen. Like, it's just not. I mean, if I owned my own bakery or something like that, yes, that would be awesome. Or my own establishment, but for the amount of work and the amount of money that you bring in, it's disproportionate. I make a hell of a lot. I potentially can make a hell of a lot more money sitting in front of a laptop at a desk working from home than I could opening up a restaurant and busting my ass and having to work. Basically, at a restaurant, you have to work all the times and slots that I'd rather be home doing nothing. evenings and weekends. I'd rather work during the day and go to a restaurant in the evening and go to a restaurant on the weekend than be working in one and then having the weekdays off to sleep and catch up on sleep before I go back to my kitchen. But I mean, in the right situation, you can make a fortune. So it just depends. You know, you can take it as far as you want, just like anything else in the world. You know, Chef Ramsay probably doesn't regret, Gordon Ramsay does not regret becoming a chef. So, um, let's see. Mother's Day. All right, so there was a lot of, well, when I left the bakery yesterday, the one woman who works there, she looks at me and she's like, I can't, I'm probably not going to be able to tell the story with a straight face because it's too funny. But I'm on my way out the door. I've got my cycling gear on, and I'm saying goodbye to everybody. And the one woman looks at me and she's like, "Make sure you call your mother tomorrow." And I'm like, "Oh, my mother's dead." And everybody in the whole bakery was like, "Oh," like it was and then nobody knew what to say. And so I looked at everybody. I'm like, "Well, maybe I can find a Ouija board and see how she's doing." And that pretty much broke the ice and made everybody start laughing, and because everybody like the one of the the one girl looks at the woman and she goes, "I guess that'll make you think twice before saying something like that again, huh?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it. My mom would think this is hilarious." So, my mom, she passed away in 2015. It's been 10 years. It's not like this happened yesterday. Um, but that was an interesting conversation for sure. But yeah, you just can't. It's weird. Like you can't assume that you can't assume that people have parents. uh it's just, you never know. But yeah, that was kind of a funny, like, she felt bad for saying that, and I'm like, how would you even know? Like, it's just, I didn't take any offense to that. I thought the whole conversation was funny because I played it. I'm a smartass, and so I made sure that I took advantage of that situation. But it is kind of weird. I was going through videos. So this one client, I'm doing so much stuff for him that there's just files everywhere. I mean, they're all in a folder for that client, generally speaking, but he sends me things through text messages, through emails, through Dropbox, it's like, it's hard to keep up with it. I use a tool called Miro, which is an infinite whiteboard app. If you've heard of it, you'd know what it is. It's pretty damn cool. There's a competitor called FigJam, which is part of Figma. Um, FigJam is basically the same as Miro, but I've tried it out a few times, but I've never. If they would make FigJam included in Figma in the cost of a Figma subscription, I'd probably switch to it just out of saving money. But they want you to pay extra for it, and I'm like, nah, I'll use Miro because more people use it, and it's more like, clients may already have a Miro subscription at this point, so I can keep everything kind of gathered together and organized there, so we can keep track of everything. But it's very easy to misplace something. And so I had all these videos that I had to go through and find screenshots of, if you will, like find a single frame of a video to use in a thumbnail image for YouTube and the website. And it was time consuming. Imagine taking 10 to 15 videos and having to just scrub the timeline back and forth looking for a spot where the person's making a face that doesn't look, you know, and where it looks like the person, it's a good spot. You know, like YouTube has this magic ability that if I let YouTube choose the thumbnail for me for my videos, it finds the most retarded looking face that I make, and like I'll be like that, or whatever. It'll find the most idiotic looking face that I made in the whole video, and it'll say that's the thumbnail right there. Put it up. So I have to make a custom thumbnail for every video, or else every video is going to be like, "Grr, grr, grr." Like it's just going to be. It's I look at the thumbnails, and then Google will give me three to pick from. Like if YouTube had the ability to scrub and pick the frame that I want to use for the thumbnail, I might just do that. But they don't give you that ability. They'll pick three, so they'll be like, "Do you want or do you want like it's like you get one of three, one of three retarded faces, and that's the one, or like it doesn't matter. Like it's all the faces I just made. When I look at this video on YouTube after it's uploaded, it's going to say, which one of these three faces that you made do you want to be the thumbnail? I guarantee. Guarantee. It's like they have an algorithm that says, let's make this guy look like an idiot. Oh, that one will do. And so I have to make my own thumbnail images. And it's like that for anything. So I'm making thumbnail images for this client's video. And it was time consuming. They're done. He has like 50 or 60 videos on his channel. His channel doesn't have a lot of traction yet, and I am going to promote him on this channel once I get, I'm like this close to getting done with this one page that at that point, there's a lot of there's a few pages of missing content on this website. And it just needs like two or three things before it feels like a complete website. And it's content, it's not design. And so, and this is a long process. Plus, I'm not full time yet doing freelance. If I could do freelance full time doing nothing but that without these 40-mile bike rides to work at the bakery, the exhaustion of it. I'll talk about that in a minute. But I was going through the videos, or I was looking for them. I had this folder full of videos to do these thumbnails from. And I'm like, I don't want to have to go and re-download all these videos. It's a pain in the ass. And I couldn't figure out where I put them. And I'm like, crap. And I'm going everywhere looking for them. And I just couldn't figure out where I tucked them away. And so I finally had to go, okay, I'm going to search. Search for every video file on this hard drive, blah, blah, blah. You can search like that on a Mac. And I must have mistakenly said all hard drives, because all these random videos started popping up in the search results. And it got me sucked into nostalgia, because I'm like, what's this? And I click on it and I'll be like, oh my God, that's when my daughter was 5 years old. I remember that's when we went to Disney World. And I just started going through all these videos, random videos from the past. And there were a whole bunch of videos of my mother. And that made me pause for a minute. And this was just a day or two ago. No coincidence that it was Mother's Day. It just happened to be I'm looking for this video and all these videos from the past pop up. But my mother, there was a video of my mother playing Rock Band on the PS3 or whatever, some video game console. And there was a drum set, and my mom was trying to play on the Rock Band drum set. And I was watching this video, and just how my mom was a pretty cool chick. She was fun. She liked we had our differences here and there, but she was compared to like the in the mom and dad lottery, I didn't do too bad. Um, so anyway, but yeah, that all kind of, I thought that was ironic that she said that yesterday. Make sure you call your mom tomorrow. And I'm like, well, I'm going to need a Ouija board for that. So, I don't know. I mean, I don't have one. So, and I think you need to have, I don't think you can use one of those by yourself. I mean, can you? I don't know. I always thought you had to have at least, I don't think they work unless you have two people, because you're one person asks the question and the other person has to drag the thing around and pretend that, oh my god, it's a ghost, look. um oh, there's some things though, when we were kids we had one, and there are some things that I remember from that I can't forget. Even at my age right now, I can't forget the things I saw on that Ouija board. Or when we were kids, some of the answers we got were things that we shouldn't know. Um, let's just say that when I reach a certain age, I'm going to be looking at around every corner. As the Ouija board told me the age I was going to die. And I'm telling you, when that birthday hits, I'm probably going to lock myself away. I'm not going to go on any bicycle rides. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to drive anywhere. I'm always going to be looking around, looking over my shoulder. It didn't say how I was going to die. It just said when. So, hopefully that's not true. A lot of things, that, what did they say, that this last pope was supposed to be the last pope, and now we've got a new pope, right? So, just because they say this is how it's going to be doesn't mean it is. Um, or is this pope that we have right now the last pope? I can't remember. Yeah, nobody even knows how to. It's like Saint Malachy is basically like the Nostradamus of popes, and he predicted a whole bunch of popes, and then the last pope would come, and then that's the end of the world. And so either this pope or the one before. Well, it has. I mean, if we get one more pope, then all that shit's bunk, and it's no good. Um, hmm. But yeah, so today's Mother's Day. I don't know. It's bicycle maintenance day for me, and I gotta do some chores. This tiny house is just. But the energy level, oh my! It's early in the morning. I got up early today. I was up at 6, but I didn't drag my ass out of bed until 7, and now it's like, oh, now it's a little after 8 on Sunday morning. I'm usually not up this early. One of the days this week I slept until 10. I think it was Friday. And then I got up. I'm the day after these bicycle rides in the bakery, I had a hard time standing up on my feet today. It's just too much. It's too much. I'm a seasoned cyclist. A 20-mile ride is more or less nothing, but it does take time. I mean, it from the time, I don't know, it was probably an hour and 15 minutes yesterday, plus I had to stop at Home Depot, which is about a mile away from where I live. But on my way home, so I had to stop at Home Depot, and I had to kind of look around for some things. And it took a minute to find the stuff and get back on my bike and come home. By the time I got home, it was probably a 2-hour trip just to come home from work. And it's just too much. It's too much. 10 miles would be no problem at all. In fact, if I had a 10-mile bicycle commute right now, it would feel great because it wouldn't even it would if I'm feeling fast, it would be if I'm going fast, it would be what, half hour? 10 miles in a half hour, that's 20 miles an hour. Yeah, I mean, if I could do it, I think the fastest I could possibly do that would be 20 minutes, and that would be hammering down hard. And the slowest would be about 40 minutes. Somewhere in the middle is where it would end up. A half hour bike ride to go to and from a job would be perfect. But an hour to an hour and a half, that's a little much for a commute for a bike ride to go out on a ride for a few hours for fun. That's a different story. I could go on a 50-mile ride for fun on a Saturday or whatever. I mean, the bicycle rides I would go on in Pittsburgh, the group rides on weeknights could be anywhere from 30 to 50 miles. Riding as a group, if it's a road bike ride, and if it's a mountain bike ride, it could be up to 20 miles, depending on, mountain biking's different. 20 miles on a mountain bike is about the equivalent of 40 on the road, on trails. Sometimes even more disproportionate, depending on how hard the trails are. Um, but I would go on group rides after work and go to work the next day. But when you sit in front of a computer and you drive to work, you can recover from those kinds of things without feeling horrible. But oh my goodness, man, today I can't, like, I'm going to have a hard time doing the bicycle stuff. I'm like, my legs are just, I've got knots in my calves right now that I can't get out. I have one of those. It's not a Theragun massager, but it's a cheap one. It's from the Bob and Brad channel. If you've ever, the two most famous physical therapists on the internet is their slogan. They have millions of followers. If you have something going on with your body being out of whack and you look it up on YouTube, you're probably going to find their channel. And they're multi-millionaires now from this YouTube channel. They're famous now. Well, they've got like a product line now. And so on Amazon, I saw they had their percussion massager. A Theragun of the same size would be about $200. Theirs was like 60. And it's just as good. It's really good. And I'm like, yes, I needed something like that. But I've got this knot in my calf right now that I've been going at for a week trying to get this thing to pop and release, and it won't. And it's like, oh, I'm just feeling it. And it's like my calf muscles are, that's one thing about cycling. Certain muscles in your legs will just become rock solid. But I've got some cramps. I'm dehydrated a little bit. I'm not eating properly. So it's just the day after a cycling day, the day after these bakery days are rough, man. They hurt. It's like it's like playing a soccer match. It's like the 2 days after there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do because this is normal. If you work out really hard for the next couple of days, you're going to be in recovery mode. Your body's repairing itself and you're going to be sore and tired. And I got to do this whole thing again tomorrow. And I got to fix up my bikes today so I can do it tomorrow. And then Tuesday I'm going to be dead to the world. I've got to break that cycle. There's no possible way that I can really get my life together between this whole fucking shit show with this landlord and the fact that I'm exhausting my, like, I could work 12 hours a day at a factory for, 4 to 5 days a week. If I could drive to the factory and back, I would be less tired than I am from bicycling back and forth to this bakery every day, or, twice a week now. And it takes, last week it was Wednesday, I felt a little, like, Thursday and Friday are the only 2 days of the week right now where I feel decent and like a normal person again. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday are like I'm dead to the world from riding a bicycle twice to a bakery and working at the bakery all day. It's killing me. It's absolutely killing me physically. And I'm almost 50 years old. So it's not like I'm 20 anymore and I could do this every day. And I don't know what to do, man. Because I can't look for a job now, like a replacement part-time job, until I know where I'm going to live. The biggest irony of all would be if I found a job here and then had to move out there to where I'm like 4 miles from the bakery that I work at now, having to ride 20 miles to where I live now to go to the job I just got. So it's a mess. Some recruiter from India came at me with a job lead for a well-known big company 4 miles down the road from me. The only reason I responded to the guy was I recognized I already had an American recruiter talk to me about that job and then ghost me. Straight up, I had a phone screen. The interview went well. They said they wanted to set up a formal interview with the company and take it to the next level. And then I was ghosted with a copy and paste rejection email. And I'm like, I felt like that was pretty shitty. I don't know if it's because they Googled me or another reason. But I have absolutely zero confidence that I could even get the job because it's a big company and they're not going to allow somebody with a background to come into that place. But I let the Indian recruiter, I figured I would see what he does. And they always, like, I'll probably never hear from the guy again. I'll probably get no rejection email, no phone call, no nothing. And if I call, I'll probably just get blown off. He may have, but the only reason I did it is because it's 4 miles away. And it would pay, it's a 6-figure job. It would be a 6-figure job 4 miles away. Even if I could trick them into hiring me for a month, and then they go, oh, we found something on your background, we don't want you here anymore. That month, I'd make so much money that it would be okay. I'd be like, yeah, well, I can survive for a few months. I could just put away all the money I make in the first month, and if it doesn't work out, at least I have that in the bank. 1 month at a job like that would be enough to turn, like, if I could find a job doing what I was doing before and go back to my life and my career. So I found so there was a guy. Here's another fucking example of how unfair this is. And there was a programmer. So when I was in one of my prison stops, there was a programmer in there with me. fact, he was going to be my cellmate for a while, but he ended up being in the cell next door. That's a whole nother story. He is the only other person who got the same charge as me that I ever met. Interstate threats. And his situation was he lived in Boston. He was working for a company in Rochester, New York. He tells me that he did it because he was drunk and didn't know what the fuck he was doing. It was one of those kind of things, but he got mad. Him and his boss were beefing and getting mad, and his boss said something to him, and he turned around and he said to his boss something to the effect of, I'm gonna fly a drone with a gun over your house and take you and your whole family out, or something. He said something really fucked up to his boss. But because he lived in Boston and the boss was in Rochester, now it's across state lines and it's a federal charge. And he ended up doing about 2 years in prison for that. Imagine that. And I met with him while he was on his tour, through the system. And he's out of prison. And I saw him on LinkedIn. And he's working at a fucking company. He's a senior level software developer for some company. And he was making like $200,000 a year when he was arrested. He gets out of prison for doing the same thing I did. Goes right back to making $200,000 a year like he didn't even skip a beat. I looked at his job history in his LinkedIn account, and it's got like a 2.5 year gap. So a guy who threatened to kill his boss, a guy who went to prison for 2 years for threatening to kill his boss, went right back to getting a $200,000 a year job without even trying when he got out of prison. And I've applied to almost 600 fucking jobs and I can't get shit. I can't get a fucking job after applying to 600 fucking jobs. But this other guy would you hire somebody if you looked at, oh, they have a criminal record, let me look into this. Oh, he threatened to kill his boss. Does that sound like the guy that you would want to hire if you were going to be his boss? Would you hire the guy who went to prison for 2 years for threatening to kill his boss? That one might make you pause for a minute and go, maybe I should not hire. I mean, maybe if I wasn't going to be his boss, I could possibly give it a thought. But no, the guy who threatened to kill his boss, and not just his boss, but his boss's entire family, okay? He threatened to kill his boss and his boss's family, children, wife. He threatened to kill his boss and his boss's family. Right back to work, like he didn't even fucking skip a beat. Probably making $200,000 a year again. Like nothing. Child molester. I bet that fucking guy who raped the 9-year-old girl who was Chris Cuomo's right-hand man at CNN, the producer of that show. I bet when he does his 20 years in prison, he can go back to work at CNN. He'll get a $10 million a year job within a month. Oh, he's just all he did was rape a 9-year-old girl. Let him in. And I will have, by the time he gets out of prison, I will have applied to 60,000 jobs and still be working at this fucking bakery. I'm telling you, it's bullshit. It's bullshit because, and it's like, I don't understand how everybody I talk to and every time I turn around, people are like, yeah, you didn't deserve what happened to you. Yeah, it was stupid what you did. You didn't deserve the level of treatment you got. And, one thing after the next. Nobody, I'm not going to say nobody because look at the trolls on this channel. Watch the trolls on this video because I just said this. There's going to be a dozen people that show up to say you're a piece of shit, you deserve to suffer for the rest of your life, blah, blah, blah. You did it to yourself, fuck you, you fucking loser, and all this other shit. But when I meet people face to face, when I'm talking to people out in the world, when one thing after the next, even the people that hired me in Jamestown, only to turn around and say, I can't hire you after all. Every single time I get told, that's bullshit, what happened to you? You shouldn't have gotten that much trouble for what you did. Where the fuck are these people when, like, none of these people own companies, none of these people can hire me? Like, why can't I find somebody like that would hire me? And I'm not saying that I can't. I've got freelance clients. But then I sit back and I'm like, maybe God just doesn't want me to do this. Because when I was doing it, I wasn't happy. I hated working for these software companies. And I hated the fact that I was basically in charge of making garbage for a living. It was like when I was a package designer. I used to do package design for, I worked at multiple graphic design firms and things like that, but I was doing package design. I've done Genesee beer packaging for all their different brands, Kodak packaging when they, back during the film days, Rubbermaid packaging, but packaging, boxes and wrappers and labels, and when you go to this grocery store, everything's in a package. When you buy something, it comes in a box. Some of the boxes are really nice and you're like, wow, I really hate throwing this thing away, look how nice it is. But yeah, I was an artist that literally made art to be thrown in the trash. So, like, all of my art you bring home and you throw my art in the trash. That was what I got paid to do. And it's the same in software. By the time, if you in modern software companies, if you design something nice, by the time it goes through 50 people's hands and becomes something that's released to the public, it's a watered down, bastardized, fucked up version of the thing you designed anyway. So the thing that you designed is never going to be seen by anybody unless you build it yourself. And then that's a whole nother set of challenges. And it's just, these companies are so, because I'm supposed to be the guy who gives a shit about what the customer experiences when they buy the software product. And my biggest fight, I'm supposed to take the side of the customer and be the advocate for the customer and have empathy for the customer and the customer's problems. And that's the job. It's called user experience design. It's not just being a graphic designer, but actually designing the entire experience, of which graphic design is a part of it. It's usability. How many times do you log into some antiquated software for your job, and you've got to fill out some form, and you have to click your mouse 150 times and go through some dumbass convoluted process when it could just be 6 clicks of the mouse on and click, 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 done. Government websites. I have to log into this website for my probation officer once a month. I get a knot in my stomach over it, because not because I'm on probation, but because the thing is such an antiquated piece of fucking dog shit that it's amazing. It takes way longer than it should. It's broken in every way possible. It's the most retarded, awful thing you could possibly imagine. I mean, imagine any government website you've ever logged into. It's terrible. And when I get to the end of the whole process, when I hit submit, there's about a 50-50 chance that the server is going to crash, and I'm going to have to go all the way back to the beginning and start over. Or it's going to submit and ask me, do you want to be sent an email receipt to prove that you, and I'm like, the fuck I do? Yeah, send me a fucking email with a confirmation code. Because that's my only proof that I actually filled this fucking thing out. And if it comes up and if my probation officer starts banging on my door here saying, why didn't you fill out the form? I'll be like, yo, let's go to my email and get that confirmation code. Because that might be the only thing I have that says I did it. Because that thing goes into a black hole. Who knows if they fucking got it when I fill it out. And so, like, that thing could be literally a 2-minute process. But, like, for example, you get to this page and you have to tell them, like, what job you have. I don't know how this happened, but I listed my freelance work and my bakery job. But now each one's listed twice. So it's got 2 listings for the bakery job, and it's got 2 listings for the freelance work. And so every single month, it shows 4 jobs. And I have to delete the 2 that are duplicates. And when I delete one, it says, why did you leave this job? And there's all these angry questions about what went wrong at this job. Why did you leave this job? Why aren't you working here anymore? You know, and you have to answer all these fucking questions. And so I just have some copy and paste text. It's a duplicate record. It's a duplicate record. I'm removing the duplicate record. I'm removing the duplicate record. And I have to do this every month. So I remove the duplicate record. So now it's got my bakery job and my freelance job. Then I've got to fill out all the fucking shit for both jobs. Who's the owner? What's the phone number? How many hours did you work? What did you make? What do you make? All this. You got to answer all these fucking questions again. Why aren't they being stored 1 month to the next? So then you hit submit and you come back next month. Boom, all 4 jobs are there again. And you got to do the whole fucking thing over again. You got to delete the 2 that are duplicates. I don't even know how the duplicates showed up. And I got to explain why I left this job. And I've got to do this whole fucking thing every month. It doesn't remember what you do from 1 month to the next. But it remembers that you had these 4 jobs. But 2 of them are duplicates. So, like, imagine, like, if I get another job. And I leave the bakery. And then maybe another job comes up and I leave for that. So, like, what if there's like 8 jobs on this fucking list and I'm only working 2 of them? And now every month I've got to delete 6 jobs off of this fucking list of jobs and explain, when did you leave the company? Why did you leave the company? What happened? Was it your fault? And all these questions about why. And it's like, I just fucking answered this shit last month, you dumb motherfuckers! This is the kind of shit that a user experience designer wants to fix. You know, so if the government actually hired someone, but see, the problem is, so the government would hire someone like me to come in and say, what's wrong with this? And I'd be like, well, number 1, it's a steaming pile of dog shit. In every sense of the word, from beginning to end. You're going to have to redesign the entire fucking thing. And then the government's going to be like, well, that's great. Why don't you come up with a nice design? At which point I would, and back it up with research and testing and interview people and have them test it out and say, you know, give me their feedback. What do you think should be added? Are we missing anything? Is it intuitive? Is it easy to figure out, etc.? Come up with all the workflows and all the processes. Like if you did quit a job and start a new job, how would we present that to the person and how would you actually have to remove the job, the questions that you get asked when you remove a job from the list, and then making sure that the fucking job you removed doesn't show back up as you're still working there the next time you fill the fucking thing out. All of these things. And then I would hand that off to a programming team who would basically throw it in the fucking trash, and a bunch of programmers from India would just cobble together whatever the fuck they thought they wanted to cobble together. And as long as the leadership that I have no fucking authority over decides that's okay, they'll just throw the design that someone like me created in the trash and just build a fucking pile of dog shit to replace the steaming pile of dog shit that was already there, and call it a day. And that's why people like me, that's why user experience designers like me are fed the fuck up with these companies, because that's what it is. I'm supposed to be the one that takes the role of the customer that's giving them money and says, this is what the customer wants. This is how the customer thinks it should behave. These are the problems that the customers are telling us they have. And then the company goes, oh, that's great, but, they're still paying us. All of our competitors are a steaming pile of dog shit, so let's give them a pile of cat turds. And who cares? At the end of the day, we don't give a fuck. They'll just rip up your design, throw it away, have the programmers build some half-assed, ridiculous, stupid version of what you might designed, but it might even be worse than what they already have. And at the end of the day, the people that know what they're doing get shot down, and it's just like DEI. It's just like this whole, let's get rid of all the air traffic controllers that know how to do air traffic control, and we'll hire, we've got a black woman. We'll hire her. Well, does she have any air traffic control? No, she doesn't have any experience. But she's black and she's a woman. Great. I don't give a fuck what color you are, or what sex you are, or what gender you are. I don't care if you're a fucking purple-haired retard with a beard running around in a dress after you cut your dick off. If you know how to do air traffic control, then get in the fucking tower and do the job. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. If you're good at it, do it. But they replace all the people that know what they're doing with fucking retards that don't know a thing about it. And now we've got planes crashing every other fucking week. Helicopters crashing into planes. We got we got that one helicopter in New York. Oh, the propeller just fell off. Probably because someone who wasn't qualified to work on the helicopter forgot to put the fucking bolt on that holds the propeller to the fucking helicopter. All these it's the same thing with software. It's the same thing with software. The people that know what they're doing have been pigeonholed or just tossed aside to be replaced with cheap labor from India, primarily, and other countries for pennies on the dollar, and all this diversity bullshit. I'm telling you, my best friend went on an interview at one company, and he's an IT guy, and he had a really great interview with the first round. He met some higher up people on the second round of the interview, went very well. He met with the company ownership on the third round of the interview, and they were all like, yeah, hire this guy. This guy knows what the fuck he's doing. And then he had one more round of interview with the human resources. And he said the entire interview was them, they sat there on the Zoom meeting looking at him with this snide ass look. And they're looking at him because he's a middle-aged white guy. And they're like, so what kind of diversity are you going to bring to the table if we hire you here? And he said that was the whole thing. The whole interview was, you're a middle-aged white guy. How are you going to bring diversity to our company? I don't see you wearing a dress. I don't see you dyeing your hair blue. Have you taken your COVID shot? And the whole thing was just this. he didn't get the job. And they sent him an email saying, what could we have done better in the hiring process? And he basically wrote them back and said, you could fire those two women, and then you would be able to staff your company with people who know what the fuck they're doing. He aced every part of this interview, all the way up to like the company leadership, and then the two human resources dingbats shot him down because he was a middle-aged white guy. What kind of diversity are you gonna bring to the table? Like copping him a fucking attitude for an hour about how he's a middle-aged white guy and he's not diverse enough to work here. Like, are you gonna put on a dress? Maybe if you chopped off your penis and ran around in a dress, we'd give you the time of day, but not if you're going to dress conservatively and professionally and be a middle-aged white guy. We're not going to, And so, that's why these software companies are just falling apart. If you want to really, if you play video games and you want to know how ridiculous it's getting, you don't have to play the game, but open up the Assassin's Creed series from Ubisoft. At the beginning of the video game, there's this statement of something to the effect of, this game was created by a diversified talent pool of people from all races, religions, and creeds, or something like that. When on the first Assassin's Creed, it's in every Assassin's Creed game. At the beginning of the game, before when you first start the game, it's like the first thing that pops up on the screen. But as you keep playing the games, each new version of Assassin's Creed, this woke statement at the beginning of the game gets more retarded and more ridiculous. It went from, this game was created by a diverse team of all races and religions, to this like LGBTQ TGIF TCB YBCBG plus 3. Like, it's just like the shit has gotten so retarded at the beginning of the game. The statement, I wish there was like a progression. You could probably look this up. Somebody's probably already put these together, showing how the woke statement at the beginning of the game gets worse and worse and worse and worse every time they put out a new game. And along with that, the game keeps getting worse and worse and worse. There's more bugs in the game. It's like, there's this one part of one of the Assassin's Creed games, there's bugs to where the people's bodies disappear and they're walking around as skeletons and their clothes fall off and there's like buildings with big holes in them and shit because the rendering engine broke or whatever. And like, there's just all these fucking bugs in these games, and they're terrible. And the storyline went to shit. It was my favorite game series aside from Grand Theft Auto. But while you're waiting 20 years for each new Grand Theft Auto game to come out, Assassin's Creed's not a bad game. But the first up until Assassin's Creed 3, the story behind the game, the story of, the story that you're watching while you play the game was really good storytelling. And then like Assassin's Creed 3, the story basically ended, and they wanted to keep making more games. So now they just got to add on a bunch of bullshit to this story, and the story just kind of died. And it makes no sense anymore, and it's just a woke fest. Like, there was this one part in the last Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think it was like the Greek Assassin's Creed. There's this one part in the game where you have to decide, it's woke bullshit. And there's your character, you're a dude, and you get to this one part where there's this flaming homo and he wants you to bang him. And I'm like, fuck. Cause now I'm like, if I don't bang this dude, I might not get a certain fucking sword, or like I might get some sort of reward, like a special sword or a special piece of armor, like a cod piece or something, that'll give me like +3 protection when I go up against the next boss. I'm like, do I gotta fuck this guy to get some sort of thing? And I didn't want to do it. I'm like, oh fuck that. I wanted to turn the fucking game off at this point. I'm like, this woke bullshit's gone too far. And I'm like, I sat and I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, sorry, dude, you're gonna have to fuck this guy. You're gonna have to bend over and let this guy fuck you in the ass. Sorry, dude. Didn't want to do it to you, but I made him do it. I made him fuck the. I turned. I'm like, ah, 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 and then it's over, and I look at the screen again, and I'm like, all right, where's my fucking battle armor? Where's my new sword? Where's my where's my new bracers? Where's my new cod piece? Nothing. You got fucking nothing for it. I'm like, you fucking kidding me? You woke motherfuckers made me fuck this motherfucker, and I could have said no. And you didn't even give me something for it. I didn't even get a new pair of shoes. Fuck, man. So that's the last time I played Assassin's Creed. I don't think I've put the fucking game in ever since. Not that I have any game systems or consoles anymore. But after that, I was turned off. I haven't played an Assassin's Creed game since I let that fucking dude fuck my character in the ass. And I just can't do it anymore. I lost it. Everything, that was the end of it. It was the same woke bullshit. It just, I can't do it. There's shows on Netflix. There's a show called You. And it was a pretty good show. The first season, I was told this is a pretty slow burn, but it gets really good. And I was like, yeah, it was a pretty good show. And it's like a lot of these shows where they'll come out with a show and the first season is really good. And then they blow it on the second season or the third season. There's so many shows like that, where the first season's really good, and then you watch the second season, you're just like, what the fuck happened? It's terrible. How did they take such a good show and ruin it? Great show, ruined. Well, I was watching this show, You, and I don't know if it was the second season or the third season, but there's an episode where they start doing all the COVID propaganda. And like somebody goes to the hospital for something and they're like, why aren't you vaccinated? Don't you know you're supposed to be vaccinated and wearing a mask and we're all in this together? And it was just like all this woke Hollywood propaganda bullshit trying to brainwash people who watch this into making sure they got their fucking shot. I hit the stop button right there, right on that scene, and I never watched it again. I couldn't watch it. Another one, Top Gear was one of my favorite shows of all time. Top Gear, and then the Grand Tour. When Jeremy Clarkson got fired from the BBC for not being woke, for being a funny motherfucker, Amazon was like, come on over, guys. We got a show just for you. And they went right back to their shit. And probably made even more money working for Amazon than they did at the BBC. And so then that ran its course, and the show ended, and they didn't want to do it anymore. Whatever, they're getting old. They've got tons and tons of money. Why do they need to work anymore? Well, then Jeremy Clarkson started his farm, and he did that show. He's got a show out called Jeremy Clarkson's Farm. And so we were watching this one day. And the first couple of episodes were pretty funny. It was fun to watch. It was basically like watching him on Top Gear, but now he's trying to run a farm. And it was really funny. We were laughing our ass off. And then they get to the COVID propaganda episode where they're talking about the virus and the vaccine and having to wear a mask and get your shots and all that. Stop. We hit the stop button, and that was it. Right in the middle of the show, we stopped it. I'm like, I can't do this. Fuck this. I'm never watching this again. Never watched it again. And I can tell you this has happened with at least 4 or 5 other shows that I'll start watching. I'll get to a certain point. The government propaganda kicks in for the COVID scam. Stop. No more. Not watching it. And I walk away. And it just makes me wonder. Every time I do this, I wonder because these companies, they know exactly what you do. They have statistics for all this shit. I would love to be the analytics guy at Netflix to find out how many people hit the stop button right at this spot in the series. Like, how many people started watching that show, You, and got to the propaganda episode and hit the stop button and never went back and never watched it and never watched another episode. I bet it's tens of thousands, if not more. People get to that spot and they're like, nope, stop, done, go watch something else. You start watching Jeremy. How many people started watching Jeremy Clarkson's Farm, and when he started going through the whole COVID scam propaganda episode, stop, never watched it again, won't watch it. In fact, I don't watch anything that those people, that pretty much, I don't watch any of James May's shows, I don't watch any of Richard Hammond's shows, I don't watch any of it. All because I got to that propaganda episode and I'm like, stop. Hard stop. Walked away, never watched it again. There's other shows. If they throw in the COVID scam propaganda, it's a hard stop. It's nope. Like if Star Wars started doing, if Star Wars had like a you got to wear a mask because if Star Wars started doing the COVID propaganda saying you got to get vaccinated, we're all in this together, 2 weeks to curb the spread or whatever. If they did that, stop. I'd stop right in the middle of a fucking episode and I'd never watch another Star Wars thing ever again. And it just makes me wonder. They have these statistics. How many people do the same thing I did? Because I know people who've done the same thing I did because I'll talk about it and they'll be like, yeah, I couldn't watch it after that. I hit stop. I've heard a lot of people, certain shows like this, they get to the same point I did and they're like, nope, not watching that bullshit and turn it off. I would love to be the analytics guy who has access to that data and see how many people stop right at that point. Right at that point. Like, here's the watch graph for that episode of You. Boo! Drops. Like, it's like, how come so many people get to this point in the show and then stop watching? It's like if my YouTube videos. If I had a YouTube video where everybody's watching, boom, nobody's watching. I would have to go back to that video and say, what the hell did I just say that got everybody to go from yeah, I like this guy to fuck him, all in the span of, like, if 90% of the people who watch all the way up to here all of a sudden, poof, drop. And all of them stop at the same time. It's not a smooth curve like it's supposed to be, but it's a straight line followed by a cliff. Something happened right before the cliff that made all those people stop watching. And it's probably something I said, because that's all these videos are, is me talking. So what the fuck did you say, Adam, that made everybody drop off a cliff right at that point in the video? So they have these analytics for all of these shows like Netflix and Amazon, and they have people, there's people whose job it is to monitor that shit and figure out, what caused people to not want to watch this anymore. You're watching some fucking movie, they drop the COVID propaganda. Nope, I'm done. Pew! Over. How many other people get to that same spot in the video and hit stop? Cold stop. We're done. I'm not watching this. I guarantee you it's a lot. But anyway, I'm an hour in. I got coffee to drink. I gotta straighten up a little bit. I gotta bring the bicycles in and get going probably around lunchtime if I want to get it done today. And my work cut out for me. I might even put my video camera on a stand and maybe talk about some of the stuff I'm doing and just kind of walk through it a little bit. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I just want to get the work done. And I'm not in that frame of mind of being a video producer right now. So, anyway, I hope y'all have a good one. Peace out.